And we are live. Thank you. I have a guest today. Aloha, how's it? It's the Rossers or the Rossers. If you're following us on We Be Vanning Instagram, we're talking about our van conversion. We call it the Rossers. But this is Michaela. If you haven't seen her before, this is my amazing daughter, Michaela. And she's off school today, so she wanted to join us and pop in. Do you want to say anything, Michaela? Hi. Bye. And she's headed out. All right. So you may have noticed that I am sporting some additional eyeshadow today. How was your weekend? Over my weekend, I decided to learn how to kayak kind of accidentally, but just a nice gentleman in the water that we see all the time. I was out surfing, the waves were flat, and he said, try my sea kayak. And I did. It was so fun. I must tell you, if you do come to the island, um, try sea kayaking. It's different and it's very different than surfing, but it's a blast. And yeah, I kind of smacked my face with the paddle, but that's okay. There's always a first time for everything. So anyhow, what did you do over your weekend? Share with me below, comment, tell me. This is Mondays with Mindy. It's a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Pacific, where I show up to talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So if you have questions about today's topic, please comment below. I may not see them during the live, but I will check them afterwards. And that's usually where I have a lot of back and forth conversation is people who are watching the replay aren't able to make it live and they comment below. And that actually gives me ideas for future episodes too. So go ahead, leave a comment below this post and I will get back to you. So let's get to today's topic. How do you measure ROI on LinkedIn? This is something that comes up a lot for people in the business. It's really how do you figure this out? Because most of us do not have the time, or at least we don't think we have the time to measure our LinkedIn activity. And it's hard to know what to pay attention to on LinkedIn. There's so much to keep track of. And I think narrowing it down to just the numbers that really matter makes a huge difference. So I don't know about you, but I really don't enjoy looking at numbers. Confession, yes. So when it comes to LinkedIn, should you simply wing it? Well, you technically could, but if you're being strategic about how and why you're using LinkedIn, you might want to check your numbers every so often. If you don't, here's what could happen. You could go all in on LinkedIn and have nothing to show for it, which could be very frustrating. I've talked to a lot of people who have invested a ton of money and time, and it sucks when you don't know what worked and what didn't. You could also see something is working, but you don't know what is working or how to replicate that success moving forward. Or maybe you really have no idea what good sales and metrics and marketing metric benchmarks are and why you need them for LinkedIn. You might not even know you can track your personal LinkedIn profile performance. I've talked to a lot of people who just don't even know that it's possible to track them because the metrics you see on your LinkedIn profile don't show you everything. So, today we're going to figure out how to get your LinkedIn metrics dialed in. We'll talk about which numbers matter, which measurement tools to use, and when to adjust your approach on LinkedIn if it's needed. So you can stop rolling the dice. We're going to cover it all today. The best part is it only takes a few minutes per week to do. So that's what I love about this. It's not complicated, even for people who are afraid of numbers like me. So, aloha for those who don't know me and you're just joining live. My name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a signature pipeline building program called LinkedIn for Business. It's launching again this summer. It's for B2B entrepreneurs, subject matter experts, authors, and savvy salespeople. And I help business leaders and experts like you build your LinkedIn networks, scale your impact, and fill your sales pipelines with perfect prospects. In this live, we are going to talk about why not paying attention to the right sales and marketing metrics on LinkedIn is causing you to waste your time and money throwing spaghetti at the LinkedIn wall, and how you can figure out exactly what is working or not working for you on LinkedIn in just 3 to 5 minutes per week. Yes, really, only 3 to 5 minutes per week. So, a lot of people jump into LinkedIn headfirst and start Googling all sorts of tips and tricks from LinkedIn gurus. With all that enthusiasm, they throw together a mishmash of tactics that promise to generate thousands of inbound leads, or turn your LinkedIn profile into a prospecting machine, having 30 sales calls per month. Okay, how many of you actually want to have 30 sales calls per month? Okay, I guess that's besides the point. But with all of that LinkedIn activity, it's easy to get caught up in the vanity metrics and not really know what's working for you on LinkedIn. So you generate all of this noise on LinkedIn, but does that actually turn into tangible business for you? That is the question. Is LinkedIn driving your business, or is it just sucking all of your time? So, is it helping you to scale your impact, to grow your LinkedIn network strategically with the right people? Or are you just spinning your wheels on LinkedIn and hoping for the best? Okay, we've all been there, we've all done that, but we don't have to. But I know you're not like most people, and we've all heard the phrase, you cannot improve what you aren't measuring. And this applies to LinkedIn as well. So, we are going to get into measuring today. So, did you know that the savvy LinkedIn users, whom we all admire, don't spend a ton of time looking at their numbers? That is the truth. Most of them spend probably a couple minutes a week just glancing over their numbers. Why? Because they only pay attention to the numbers that matter most, the metrics that actually move the needle for their business. They know exactly what these numbers are, they understand which levers to pull to change the numbers, and most of them use this really nifty tool to break down all the data for them in layman's terms. So there's not really a secret to the numbers or how to track them. It's more a process of building it into a workflow once you understand which metrics you should be tracking. Okay? Simple enough, right? And I'm going to show you that nifty tool today. So let's get down to what are those 7 metrics that you should be tracking. I'm going to pull up that nifty tool here so you can see it in my screen. And this is what I like to call my secret weapon, which is called Shield Analytics. It's not that expensive to use. So if you're looking for a tool that can actually measure your LinkedIn metrics, it's a really good one. It's very simple and straightforward. And using Shield does not go against any rules inside the LinkedIn user agreement. It's safe, it's not spammy, and doesn't cause any issues when using LinkedIn. So let's look at our numbers. What's the first one we are going to look at? And that is, how many LinkedIn profile views are you getting? So if you're looking at my screen there, you can see views in the upper left-hand corner. And that's how many views my profile is getting right now this week. And you can see it in real time. And I think that's what I really like about Shield is that it shows you what it actually looks like right now. So it's a snapshot of what's happening. So your views are the total number of views your LinkedIn profile has received in whatever specific time period you're looking at. This means people have not only seen something of yours in their LinkedIn newsfeed, they have actually looked at your profile. So that is huge because they are seeing who you are, what you stand for. It's like a website visit. So that's how I would equate it to website terms. Too many people assume this is really a vanity metric, but it is not. So, what is it telling you? If this number is consistent or it's going up, it's telling you that your keywords, your post, your profile are getting attention, they're piquing interest and getting people to learn more. Now, if you see this number start going down, you may have either just switched something on your LinkedIn profile or you're simply not getting the right people to pay attention. So, what I would recommend is if you are trying to fix your LinkedIn profile views, try looking at your LinkedIn profile headline first. I just made a video about this, I think 2 weeks ago. It's Mindy's 5-minute formula to fix your LinkedIn profile for good. So, just look back here on the channel on my profile and you'll see that video. I recommend watching that video and just fixing your headline because that usually starts moving the needle for people on their LinkedIn profile views. So you can dive deeper with a paid LinkedIn account if you want to see actually who is viewing your profile. But just watching the number to see how many gives you a good idea, and it's good enough for most people. All right, so your engagement rate, that's the second one we're going to talk about. And you can see mine on the screen there. If you go down below views, you see engagement rate. Mine currently is at 7.14%, which is pretty high. So I would say that for most people, a good engagement rate is really going to range between 1 to 3%. 2 to 3% is a little better. But what this actually means is it's calculated as the views to the like, comment, share ratio for a specific time period. So just think about how many people are seeing or should be seeing my post because it really depends on how many people are actually sitting there looking at it. LinkedIn can't tell you that for sure, but it is showing up in their newsfeed. And then how many of those people are actually liking, commenting, or sharing your post? So that's where that metric comes from. In a nutshell, this is going to tell you how people are engaging with your posts on LinkedIn. It's one of the most important marketing metrics to pay attention to if you are trying to build a super fan base, if you are trying to get into conversations with your audience, if you're trying to be a thought leader to promote your book, promote your course, any of those things, this is very important to pay attention to. And like I said, shoot for that 2 to 3% industry benchmark there. And you'll notice mine is definitely outside that range, but that's because I have a smaller, more strategic network, and then most of them are pretty engaged with my content. So I like to see mine in that 7% range. You can see that the week before it was closer to 15%. And that's just because I was experimenting with some different content. Okay. So, what it's telling you, whether or not your content is valuable to your LinkedIn audience and your connections. Is it worth commenting on? Is it worth sharing? Is it worth liking? Is it worth doing anything about? Like if they see your content, do they just kind of scroll through and go, okay, that's nice? Or are they saying, yes, I support you. Yes, that's meaningful. Yes, that matters to me. I want to learn more. Something that's telling you that what you're sharing is resonating with them. Okay. So I really like that metric. It's hard to get it right. So don't get discouraged if it's really low at the beginning. It takes time to figure out your audience and really sync your messaging to match. Okay. So the next one is number of followers. So how many followers do you have? And you can see on my screen here, I've got 4,540 followers. So, what it is, this is how many people are either following you or they're connected to you. So, basically, LinkedIn totals the number of followers that you have plus your connections, and that gives you the total number of followers. So, your followers does include your connections as well. So, obviously, you want to see this number go up over time, unless you are doing some LinkedIn connections cleanup. And I'm sorry if you hear any noise in the background, we are doing a van conversion. So that's my husband. And if you are doing some LinkedIn connections cleanup, you're going to see this number go down initially. Okay. But when you continue to post valuable content and strategically build your LinkedIn network, this number will organically grow over time. So, what is it telling you? Basically, it's telling you how many people are in your LinkedIn audience and likely to see your post in their feed. Most of these will likely be your LinkedIn connections, unless you get into the influencer range with your network size. So at that point, you may see the ratio shift. You may have more followers than you have connections because you can only get to, I think right now it's 35,000 LinkedIn connections. So once you get past that point, people will have to follow you or you will have to disconnect, remove connections from, remove some connections to make space for people that want to connect with you. So keep growing your LinkedIn network with the right people, and you cannot go wrong here. This number will continue to go up and it will be filled with the right people. Okay, so next we talked about followers. Now we're going to talk about how many new connections you have. This is much more in the sales metric range versus marketing. It kind of straddles both. So, what is the number of new connections? It's exactly what it sounds like. How many people did you connect with on LinkedIn within a certain time frame? This includes both your inbound, so that means those connections that you received, and your outbound, those connections that were sent by you to other people. So this should be trending upward over time. Upward, upward, upward. And it's critical to ABC. Always be connecting. Always, always, always be connecting. Every time that you come across somebody that's a professional in your field, maybe you attend a live webinar, you go to a live event, any of those interactions outside of LinkedIn are perfect opportunities for you to connect with others in the industry and to build your network. So always be connecting. Always think about following up with a LinkedIn connection request. So for those of you who are into list building or you're really trying to grow an audience, this is how it's done on LinkedIn. It's building these connections. Okay. And it does require a bit more of a one to one relationship than is typical for list builders who are just trying to get people on their email list. You do need to reach out, you do need to initiate that contact, and there is more of that hands on feel. So, what this number is telling you, how many people you are accepting connections from or sending connections to that are accepted. That's it in a nutshell. This number should be going up. And we talked about this last week, but how big your network should be and how strategic you want your network to be, this is going to play into what number you want to see here. Okay. So, very important number to pay attention to. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because the numbers I'm going to talk about next are not are actually going to be just inside, there we go, are going to be just inside my metrics spreadsheet that you can get at the end of this live. Okay, so the next one is number 5. What's your connection acceptance rate? This is definitely what I would call a sales metric. What it is, it's calculated as the connections sent to the number of connections accepted for a specific time period. I like to measure this over the span of a month. I feel like if you try to measure a connection acceptance rate over the span of a week, it can get a little wonky because some people don't see your connection within a week. So I like to measure it over the span of a month. In other words, if you send 100 connections over a month and 60 of them are accepted, that gives you a 60% connection acceptance rate. Okay, so what should your number be here? For most people who are actively prospecting, so this means you are using LinkedIn to try to get into contact with those who would be a perfect prospect for you. This rate can vary dramatically. It can be all over the board. So if you're consistently getting below 25% in an industry that is pretty active on LinkedIn, you need to rethink your connection invitation. So I definitely shoot for higher than 25%. I like to see around a 30 to 40% connection acceptance rate for my clients who are actively prospecting. Okay. So shoot for that number. Sometimes you may fall a little short if your industry is not that active or the prospects you're reaching out to are not that active. It could be a little bit lower. So don't get discouraged. Over time, you will start to see what your benchmark is for a specific target audience. You can adjust accordingly. And for those of you who are simply trying to get connected, you are more into list building, you're trying to grow your network with people who may not necessarily be prospects. So they could be, other peers or industry experts, those you're trying to connect with just from like a business perspective. I would shoot for a 50 to 75% connection acceptance rate. I feel like that's really good for those non prospect connection invitations. Most people should be accepting your connection invitation if you are doing it correctly. You're writing it and you're personalizing it. You're not sending spam. You're not using an automation tool. Just be thoughtful. This is a human to human platform. This is not about automation on LinkedIn. So, what your connection acceptance rate is telling you, this is telling you exactly how good or horrible your connection request is. If it's not getting people to accept, you're either sending them a poorly written connection invitation or you're reaching out to the wrong people. So, you need to look at that rate on a periodic basis. I would recommend once a month and figure out what's working and if you're in the right range. Okay, so number 6, moving right along here, is the connection to conversion rate. I know that may sound like a mouthful, but basically what it is, it's calculated as the number of connections who agree to have a conversation with you or convert to whatever your ask is. So this can vary depending on what your LinkedIn connection strategy is, what that conversion event is. For example, most of my clients are looking to have a conversation with their new connections, which will hopefully lead to new business opportunities for them. Others are simply asking a question. They're asking people to vote on a poll. They're trying to get the new connection engaged in a two-way dialogue in the message stream that is more along the lines of just getting to know you. So it really depends on what your objective is, what that conversion rate and conversion event is. So a good connection to conversion rate is around 40%. This can sound really high to those of you who are used to email marketing because that is a lot lower. Okay, but LinkedIn, when done right, 40% is pretty solid. This means that 40% of the new connections are agreeing to a conversation with you, or they're taking an action on whatever your conversion event is. So what this number is telling you is how well aligned is your messaging with your target audience and their wants, needs, and desires. So if your messaging is off here, they're not going to convert. They're just going to ghost you. They're not going to respond. They may not even see it if they're not that active on LinkedIn. So you've got to think about your copy here. You've got to make it compelling. It's got to be obviously valuable to them. So if what your ask is seems like a no-brainer to them or it's obviously advantageous, they will be more likely to convert. Keep that in mind. It's not about you, it's about them. All right. So number 7, we are already there, is how many business opportunities? I know it sounds like really simple, but how many business opportunities are you getting from LinkedIn? So, this is how many opportunities that are coming your way. How many did you identify on LinkedIn that are either from new connections, maybe they're old connections that have resurfaced? And I like to measure this on a monthly basis. Sometimes quarterly is actually better depending on the type of business that you're in, because that will tell you, okay, I've had about a dozen new opportunities over the past 3 months. That's good for me because about two or three of them are going to convert into new clients. So that's an example of what you want to be thinking about to ensure that LinkedIn is a good channel for you. Because if you are not getting opportunities from LinkedIn, why are you on LinkedIn? There really is not a point. Maybe you want to be popular, you want to build a fan base, but it should always lead to business. That's the purpose of LinkedIn. It's not to just be entertaining. So it's that simple. If you're not seeing opportunities on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, something is off. You've got to tweak it. You've got to figure out exactly what it is. And if you need help with that, let me know. I'm happy to answer you in the DMs. You can send me a question if you're having issues on this front too. But when you have a healthy LinkedIn program, a strategic network, you can expect a combination. So you'll have both inbound and outbound opportunities surface each month, each quarter. So this number is telling you whether or not you're using LinkedIn effectively for business. If you aren't getting opportunities, you're not using LinkedIn appropriately. Okay. So if you want more opportunities, you need to be doing the right combination of things on LinkedIn. That is different for every person. There are some formulas that kind of apply across the board, and I teach that in my LinkedIn for Business course, but it's really tailoring it to your audience, to your personality, to your brand. And sometimes it can be tricky to figure out which levers to pull here to get more opportunities. So get advice, talk to an experienced LinkedIn sales and marketing expert. Maybe you have a savvy friend that's doing really well on LinkedIn, somebody who can help you tease this out. Sometimes we just get so close to the problem that we can't see, the forest for the trees, that whole scenario. So there you have it. Those are my top 7 metrics to pay attention to on LinkedIn to know if your sales and marketing program is working. So think about it. Maybe you haven't actually looked at your metrics lately, but you probably have an idea. How are you doing? Are there any areas that you see for improvement? When's the next time you're going to look at your metrics? I hope it's within the next week, the next month. And if you're struggling to figure out what to do next, that's okay. I know numbers can feel a little overwhelming to some people. So post a question below, shoot me a direct message to discuss. Happy to troubleshoot with you. And if you want to go deeper with your marketing analytics, I do recommend that app that I just showed you, which is called shieldapp.ai. That will help you get the LinkedIn metrics I showed you today for your profile. It's not that expensive. If you want 20% off, you can use the code Mindi, Mindi. That's my name. I don't get a kickback, but you will get that discount. Okay. And I also have my own nerdy spreadsheet to help you keep track of all 7 of these metrics. And you can check that out at mindyroster.com/metrics to get direct download access. And next week, I'm very excited because we are going to talk about how to get 200 new connections into your LinkedIn network fast without using spam, without, going into automation land, which is another topic for another day. Okay, so feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and my inbox is always open if you want to message me directly. I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.